Hello everybody and welcome to Forever and Ever the Kelly Fans podcast. It's season number 4, it's episode number 23 and we're coming to you live, literally live from Limelight Studios in Irvine. My name's Paul Montgomery, joined in the studio as ever by my co-host and co-club captain Kelly Cal. Alright mate?
Delighted to be here, certainly after the big news of the day. We've hunters to talk about, as well as about 50 questions on the Twitter.
Aye, so we'll get through all that. Obviously there's a pretty significant talking point. We'll get into that shortly. And the Kelly Chronicles finest, or second finest after Gaby?
Second finest,
second
especially
finest
after today with his hard shift pulled. So
aye,
yeah, we'll go with that.
So Ewan Paton's here as well. Obviously there's been a lot of movement today. The manager Stuart Kettlewell has left the club, parted company this morning after yesterday's defeat up at Paton, a 2-1 loss to Aberdeen, where we probably played better than we have in a good few weeks and months, such as the way the cookie crumbles at times, gentlemen. But like I say, so we're experimenting. We're on live just now on Facebook, maybe other platforms and all, and if you're want to leave a comment or whatever you can, but there's loads and loads of comments for us to get through anyway. I need to be out of here. As I said, Scotland's Christmas home of the year has to be watched tonight. It's the only thing me and my wife have been planning this whole Christmas.
Watch it on records off the cards. I
mean, I think it's actually on at 8 o'clock, so we're going to need to iPlay it anyway, but my wife's got a very early bedtime and it's non-negotiable. She's hardline. She's had a busy day, and I'm obviously up early tomorrow as well because
somebody's on the BBC. No, well, it's not even the podcast. It's actually breakfast on
Phil
BBC.
Goodlad and me, good mates.
After being on drive time this afternoon as well, so which is
only a matter of time, mate. This might be one of the last times I'm ever on this.
Well, that's why we've got Pates in. We thought for a period there it was going to be a replacement for me after my injuries, but again, moving about pretty well now. But you're moving on to bigger and better things.
Listen, what can I say? No, right, all right. Well, no point in beating around the bush today, gentlemen. Obviously the big news that broke the day.
No, you know what I talk about all the VAR decisions yesterday and that and stuff.
Aye, well, the VAR stuff, we'll get through that really quickly. Want me to nutshell the game really quickly then?
Honestly, I don't even think there's any point.
Good goal.
Aye, good goal. VAR decisions are a shambles. Well, the second one's a shambles. The winning for the penalty for me is absolutely shocking. I thought the first one was correct. I didn't think it was a penalty for Kelly, but the one against Kelly is awful. So I think it's important to mention that, but again, it's kind of water under the bridge now.
Old news already, innit? And then do you think we were deserved runners up, Cal?
I think that, to go back to the goal, I think that was a great finish for John Jules, and I think that there's definitely something there to work with him. I think that he looks like a good striker. I think Brown does well initially, but even when he slips on the ball, I still think the ball's a wee bit behind him. I think he takes a brilliant first touch to get away and then get away from the defender and then to dink the goalie. I think there's definitely something to work with. I thought first half we were pretty good.
I thought it looked solid.
As good as we've played for probably the St Mirren game that we won evidently. But I thought second half at Aberdeen really kind of upped the ante and deservedly kind of got the result in the end. I think they were definitely riding their luck, but having said that, when we were riding their luck, I goes, this looks like it probably will be our day with the chances that they were missing and Hinks hitting the crossbar and getting cleared off the line. And but again, I think that the penalty is harsh. At the time I actually thought it maybe was a penalty, just for when we seen it, because I definitely see it hits his arm. But I think that, I mean, what can he do? He's 2 yards away from it, but that's what it is, man. And draw a line under it. There's bigger things happening there.
Certainly is. Aye, so Ewan, you're obviously closer to this stuff than us, which wouldn't be hard. What was the first kind of rumour that you heard that this was happening? Did you hear it any earlier than anybody else, or did it just kind of break at the same time that the Ket was gone?
Honestly, not really, to be honest. Very similar to everyone else. As much as I would have liked to have heard it a little bit earlier, but it's what it is. So everyone would have seen that story from David Frail that there was talks due to be held, and just sort of rolled from there. Had heard that he'd been in this morning to say his goodbyes to the players and staff, and then obviously we had stuck out our story at that point that, you know, it was definitely true, because you definitely can't get something like that wrong. But in fairness to David Frail, he's not going to put out something that's not correct. And then obviously the club kind of announced it. When was that? Maybe just a little bit before 1 o'clock.
Just before midday.
Aye. So it's kind of been floating around, kind of late morning time. Aye. I suppose not a surprise.
No,
after everything is the best way you could sort of sum it up in that case. But obviously a shame, like, for someone to lose their job so close to Christmas and things like that this time of year. I think also maybe important to mention that too. But I
think the human element of that, I think everybody's in agreement that it's not a nice time of year to lose a job, although you're in that danger zone if you're a Kelly manager, because evidently it's the same week as Tommy Wright lost his job, same week as Alessio lost his job. Can add the Ket to that list now. So Cal, when you first heard this, you messaged me earlier on, and then all the text started going and everybody's kind of it's true, the big announcement comes. What was your initial thoughts and feelings? Were you slightly surprised that it was taken? Because when we talked yesterday, I didn't think that was where we thought we were at.
I was genuinely surprised. I thought it's one of them, maybe the Aberdeen away comes into the fore a bit, because it's a long bus journey home if you have a meeting straight after the game to get told that you've been bagged, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So understand that, but I thought when there was no announcement kind of like immediately after the game and into last night, and with Ewan's question at the presser and stuff, I thought that he was safe for at least another week. But then when the news breaks that this afternoon, Ken, it was a bit of a shock to me, if I'm being honest. I think it's the right decision. I think that it's just no worth, and that's something that we'll get into in the Patreon. It's obviously got to be a kind of deep dive onto Kettlewell's career as a whole at Kilmarnock. It was short-lived, but to go back into your original, it definitely did come as a shock to me. I thought, if anything, it would have been after the game yesterday we found out.
Right, okay. Interesting. So nothing that you heard suggested that it was going to be happening this weekend? Was it dependent on that result? Nothing you heard at all?
Honestly, not. I think maybe that's why I said I wasn't surprised. Obviously, I'm kind of meaning more broadly in the sense that they've lost 8 games out of the last 10 and they've not won in 10 games since the start of October. I'm kind of meaning from that point of view, but also I'm the kind of opposite to you. I wasn't expecting it last night because from the nature of it, they're in Aberdeen, they need to get back home and things like that. I just didn't see that happening. They were on the team bus and whatever else, so yeah, I was maybe more expecting something today if it was going to happen. Then obviously when I first wake up and nothing's kind of happening, you're maybe thinking that maybe this does roll on until Falkirk, but yeah, obviously not. But no, I hadn't heard anything like kind of riding on Aberdeen as such. I think it's probably more they've taken the action before it's getting into these games where if we don't get points out of Falkirk, St Mirren and Dundee, I think it is, then you really are in deep bother.
Aye, so they feel like big games coming up, and I'll have to say immediately, like the atmosphere already feels different round about Saturday as a game. I've already seen people rightly or wrongly saying that they're now excited about Saturday. That's a big game for them to go along to. They maybe weren't going to go. People are now making that effort to make sure they're there on Saturday. It's obviously going to be Craig Clark, Paul Di Giacomo, who've been working at the club for a while, and Chris Doolan, who's interim manager. Chris was due to be announced to be the new sort of, with taking over Burkie's role essentially.
Yeah.
And obviously they've had to move the plates a bit there, and Dools is going to be taking the team on Saturday. Did a good job at Partick Thistle, played a lot of games in the Premier League, local guy, people know him. So how do you feel going forward then, man? Like, does it feel like a fresh, like a slate for you, man? Is that where we're at now? Do we go again almost?
I would say so. I think it's a case of, to go back to what I said last week, and this is no me saying that these guys are particularly better manager than Stuart Kettlewell or what they'd be capable of, but just with the amount of people that have now checked out and that are change was needed, and immediately already I'm actually pretty happy to see Doolan in that kind of role. He's somebody that's at least got a bit of managerial experience. I think that he's an excellent appointment for taking over with Chris Burke, and again it's put to bed the rumours that that role wasn't getting filled because that came out of late as well, because I've saw him in the director's box a few games, and I think I said to you, I wonder if he's a shoe-in for that gig, but there was talk that wasn't even getting filled. So I think they're out, and obviously Di Giacomo and Craig Clark obviously both know Kilmarnock really well, and I think that it just lifts everything ahead of Saturday. I've got a spring in my step going in Saturday now, you know what I mean? I think our folk will be the same. Genuinely, I didn't make the journey to Pittodrie yesterday. In fact, I don't think I could sit in a motor for 4 hours now anyway, just with my own health conditions. But I just had no appetite to really watch the game. And even when we were playing well, I found it really hard to buy into what was going on. Whereas feel like a new man already, and I'm just I'm ready to get going.
Delighted. Anyway, you wouldn't be able to tell. You don't seem overly enthused. No, you're playing it cool, man. I know how happy you are.
I'm just
that's unfair.
No, it's one of them. I just think that this was inevitable.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? It felt even when it first got announced in May or whatever, but start of June. Wasn't it a popular appointment? I do think he kind of won folk round, I would say. Maybe up until probably October, folk looked right. More so than others. Some people were really buying into the style of play. But the results were absolutely fine, I thought. And then especially you go and win the 2 games. Dundee United, St Mirren, we're sitting up in third in the league. But for then, we've sunk like a stone. So what's your kind of take on the appointments that we've made so far in terms of the interim coaching staff? You had any dealings with them, and how do you feel about it?
I've known Paul in the past, like a wee bit, in his kind of various different roles at the club. So spoken to him at length beforehand. Got to know him a little bit, although it's been a while. I will say that. One of my colleagues covers Park at Thistle very closely, so I spoke to him a wee bit about Doolan. I think he'll be good to kind of deal with and things like that, but I don't really know all that much in terms of like how he'll be in terms of like with the players and whatever, but I can imagine he's very likeable. I think he's the kind of person that's needed to kind of galvanise things, as you say, like bring a spring back and a bit of an energy that has probably been missing just purely because of how poor things have been, and obviously confidence is low. Maybe just someone to try and remind the players that they are good players, and maybe just simplify things almost, I guess. And obviously Craig Clark's been there for a very, very long time, working his way up, but never dealt with Craig, no. But I mean, I've spoken to Chris Doolan before in the past, just for an interview, so would severely doubt he remembers that 10-minute conversation, but you never know. But yeah, I look forward to speaking to him later this week.
We get any idea on how it's going to work then? Will it be is Doolan like he going to be the figurehead, picking the team, and they're the assistants essentially? Is that?
Well, I'm not sure if Ewan can get a bit more clarity on this, but that's my understanding just from the way that was worded. It looked like Doolan was going to be the figurehead. Otherwise, I just think that they would just say, "Oh, be assisted by," whereas it seemed to be as if he was going to be the main man.
No, I think you're spot on there. Yeah.
Aye. Well, I mean, it's exciting. It lifts everything, and it did it bad, and he did that. And again, to not to labour the point, but like you said, Ewan, man, nobody want, like, from a personal perspective, it's 10 days before Christmas. The guy's lost his job. He's not a millionaire. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be like he can absorb it and just carry on with his life. So I think you've got to acknowledge that. And one thing I will say about Kettlewell, I personally never really connected with him as a manager. I wasn't massively enamoured with the teams he was putting out, but what I did hear for loads of folk is that he was like a hard worker, and it's just one of the things that's no worked out. I said this a few weeks ago. I wasn't being facetious. Like, there's obviously a career for Stuart Kettlewell. Just feels to me like maybe closer to the level that he played at rather than in the Premier League. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my kind of take on him in general. I've
got absolutely no doubt for a second that he was given it absolutely everything, and the same with his last couple of jobs as well. And it's no nice the way it's worked out, but I think it's about as amicable as it could be, because the big concern was that it wasn't really getting toxic. Just folk were fed up, which is even worse in a way, I think. So I think that, I mean, the board, they deserve credit now. Folk will still say, oh, it was too late, that's that or the next thing, but at the end of the day, it came as a surprise to me. I thought with the way it was playing out that he was still got to be here. So the fact that whoever the new man is that's got to come in has got to have that January transfer window to really get their teeth into it. But I know we'll come on to questions about who do you want and all the rest of it, but the most important thing is now is that we stay up. That's the fact of the matter. Is there's been severe budget cuts, but we need somebody to just give the place a lift and keep Kilmarnock in the Premiership.
What was Ket like to deal with? He obviously loved you, man, with your questions.
Right, absolutely.
When was the last thing you ever asked him?
Yesterday, just asked.
What did you say?
So Chris Harvey kind of asked him about pressures and of being a football manager and whether he felt that pressure from above him, i.e. Billy Bowie, Greg McEwen, etc. And he said no, not really. And then he kind of went into a bit of an answer about how he'd spoken to BBC before he came and spoke to us, and he had no time or respect for the kind of questioning along the lines of Tony Dock had just lost his job at Ross County, and then it was kind of spun in a way of like, are you worried about that sort of thing? So put my hands up, maybe backed out a little bit of asking him if he was worried about the sack, but no, I just sort of asked if he'd had conversations with the hierarchy about the run, which is obviously winless in 10 games, and obviously not expecting him to kind of divulge anything on that, but it's just to more kind of try and push him on, and coming from a slightly different angle on it. But aye, pretty sure he'll be happy not to see Gaby again, and likewise I'm pretty sure Gaby will be happy not to see him again.
Really? So in comparison to like how you were obviously had that relationship with McInnes and all that, and you were in it, all these stuff, and it seemed to flow a wee bit easier, I would say. I mean, McInnes is the master in there, man. He's like he's amazing at that anyway. But was that your experience then? Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to say I didn't get on with Kettlewell, because I got on with him to a degree, but it was never like the sort of same relationship that I ever had with Derek. And that's not me like try to label it as like 1-0 Derek type thing or anything like that. And that's why like I maybe preferred him. It was more to do with like actually the team on the park and everything like that, of course. But yeah, we got on fine. It was never like anything that was too warm, or we never really like had any conversations that weren't stuff that we were recording for quotes anyways. We spoke to him the odd time, and you know, he was obviously a decent man, and he would ask you a couple of questions about your day and things like that, but it was never like anything too personal or anything like that. Maybe I think the man you see like speaking in front of the camera is the man you get. Like, he's just very to the point and quite, I don't know, he's just not cold, but he's not got the
he's matter of fact guy. Aye.
He's not got the warmest personality.
He's not a sizzling personality or anything like that.
No.
Wait, Cal, what do you think then? You're looking back on the Ket's time at the Killie, what were the any plus points, any positives that you could take out of it?
Ben Brannan coming through, of course, is going to be one, but I'm not doing this for effect or anything, but I really find it hard to see many positives at all. Hence why he's lost his job after 17 league games, and I think that's a fact of the matter, because I'm not even wanting to be one of these guys that keeps coming back to the Alessio thing and that, but because I think that we were on the down at that point anyway. I think we were off the back of 4 or 5 defeats in a row, and that was inevitable as well, but the board made a rod for their own back then when they sacked a guy that was, when you're looking at positions in the table, literally sitting 5th in the league. But ultimately I think that potentially could have been the right decision anyway if they didn't go to a point I like Dyer after that. But I just feel that the fact the board have acted now just tells you everything, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I don't think that there has been many positives. Max Stryek looked like one, but no, well, hopefully he'll be back come the end of January. But I don't think that the recruitment overall has been great. I don't think that the football's been great. The results certainly haven't been great, and time to move on.
Aye. And any for you, Ewan? Any good points?
Maybe throw in Ethan Brown there as well. I think he's actually looked very decent in any sort of cameos he's had, or the starts that he had kind of out of the blue. David Watson to a point, but then how much do you kind of credit Kettlewell with that? I'm not really too sure.
To be fair, there was a period where he looked completely rejuvenated, and I think you're right, and he was flying, and the goal against St Mirren summed that up when he ran for his own half to give himself a 2-yard tap in. But definitely Watson's went off the boil of late as well, and obviously the contract issues, but that's no Kettlewell's fault.
No, I know. Aye, so there we go, it's over, and Stuart Kettlewell goes with a pat at the back and a thanks, and he'll move on to someone else, and it's time for Kelly to move on to someone else. And all loads and loads of questions we'll get through. I want to show off my hoodie first.
Oh, is that? I was actually going to say.
So this is Dudge's Works, the Morven Centre, up in Alton Hill. Do incredible work, community mental health based stuff. So I got this today, so there you go.
Well, especially
plug for a great charity, man.
When there was a real concern about 2 years ago that the place was going to close down, so credit to, I believe that a generous donors went in and saved the place and kept obviously jobs that were there, but most importantly keeping folk the support that they need. People. Exactly. So
and taking a lot of the weight off the NHS, which is dead important, obviously.
I like that.
What else was I going to say? So we're now looking forward to this game against Falkirk on Saturday. The atmosphere is totally different. Do you think it will actually have a tangible effect on the crowd? I've got a feeling the crowd will be bigger, and certainly it'll be a different atmosphere. Would you think, Cal? You think it'll be?
No doubt about the atmosphere. I think that the last few weeks has been a real pain, and I think maybe numbers wise it will be hugely better. Maybe once the new man comes in, and who knows, if it's a big name, then that'll put bums in seats.
Steve Bruce.
Well, that's we need to go for it, man. The Brucey Patrol t-shirts about this
They're
time
going to
next
sell
week.
themselves, mate.
Well, Rainbow
Keep
Ink.
that Morven Centre open with the Brucey Patrol t-shirts.
Exactly, man. So Rainbow Ink, shout out to Stuart and Rue there, man, that they'll be flying off the shelves in there. But I think to go to Saturday, things well, again, the atmosphere will be miles better. But before we move on, I believe that the sound issues are now sorted, so massive credit to Stu, by the way, who must have been having a heart attack there trying to sort all that, and he's done it off whilst this is live radio, telly, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. Stu, I can assure you, is the only professional in the room normally, but we've got two this week.
Aye,
so
that's true. Aye,
50% pros.
That stuff.
What do you think then on Saturday, man? Do you feel more positive about it?
Yeah, of course. I think you need to be like extremely pessimistic not to be. Like, I mean, stats don't lie. Falkirk have got more points than Kilmarnock, and they've won more games than Kilmarnock, so by rights I suppose they are favourites from that point of view. But I heard on the radio, I didn't actually realise they've not scored in 4 games.
All right.
They've obviously had a few defeats in that, so it's a home game for Kilmarnock, and you're hoping that with this decision being made quite promptly in the week, that with a full training week with Doolan and Jacko and Craig Clark, that the players respond to that. They've got to. And I do, I obviously spoke to Brad Lyons after the game. He came and spoke to us, and he took issue with one of the questions about the players not being behind Kettlewell, or are you still behind Kettlewell? And he sort of made apologies for being cheeky, as he kind of put it, but he wasn't really. He said it was a silly question, because you see that, like, there's no lack of effort. I don't think effort was the issue, as we've gone over, and that's fine. Looking forward, I fully expect to see that effort and more still there. David Watson will be back from suspension as well, which is obviously a boost. And then now you're hoping the likes of John Jules is taking a lot of confidence from that. I think I'd have liked to have seen him on the park for a wee bit longer yesterday. Maybe just kind of ran out of legs, perhaps just due to kind of lack of football and things like that. So more game time for him. It'll be interesting to see kind of how Doolan views the team, and is he going to go back 4 or back 3-5, whatever it is, because obviously Kettlewell was kind of very strict on how he tended to see it, with the kind of 3 centre halves. So yeah, personnel and formation, it's all intriguing. I suppose like that kind of freshness does naturally bring your enthusiasm kind of back up to the sort of levels that you'd like it to be at.
Absolutely. You think you'll see a back 4 on Saturday?
Well, I think that's what he played at Thistle.
Aye.
4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1. Yep. So it's a formation that I would really like us to play more often. Anyway, I think that particularly in kind of modern football, I think that's one of the best systems that works. Along with, I just think going back to a back 4's ideal. One thing's for sure though is, come the January transfer window, need wingers in the door, man, because Matty Kennedy, who knows when he'll be back, but we're really lacking out there, and if we want to play a back 4, our width is going to be provided by wingers.
I just wonder if the way football works and the way life works sometimes, that if Kettlewell had kept his job and he'd went to that and played a back 4 and went 4-3-3 or something like that and go and beat Falkirk, maybe it would have changed for him too. But it's just with the sliding doors, I've just now got a feeling we'll go and beat Falkirk. Like, I just feel like that. I wouldn't have felt that way probably this time yesterday, but I just, with the lift in the stadium, I do think Doolan will change it, because why would you not change it if you've been getting beat all the time? That fresh voice, that wee bit of impetus, I can go and see, and Falkirk maybe falling off the rails ever so slightly. I can see us beating them now on Saturday, and I definitely didn't feel that way yesterday.
Yeah, here's hoping so, right before Christmas as well, make us all feel a bit better today.
That's right, man, a wee boost. So aye, right, well, we go and see what's happening on the questions.
Aye, well, good luck trawling through them. I presume there'll be a hell of a lot of repetitive questions there, and I'll keep a wee eye, and if anybody wants to comment live on the Facebook, I'll try and address some of
them. Right, let me go here, because there's loads and loads. We've had a few different ones on a few different kind of sites as well, so I've got one. Morris,
sound like you're exposing us there as if we're on some kind of legal forum or whatever.
What do you mean? Have you not heard of that on the Fire Stick? You can get a special Kelly
or the Truth platform or whatever it is.
Aye, right. Maury says the club's in a bit of a state, to be honest. Always a squad rebuild, stadiums falling to bits, can't make profit, and any players always seem to have no money and on the brink despite some periods of success. It's actually really poor when you compare us to Motherwell and St Mirren, who are our level. We can't afford another relegation, so managers can't get time. So obviously St Mirren yesterday, absolutely tremendous, fully deserving to winning that cup. Amazing. A pub full of Kelly fans, everybody was happy for them, even though there's been a wee bit of a rivalry over the years. Motherwell are going great guns. there's a template there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean, in terms of like what you want to do for your club? So how are they getting it so right, like compared to where we're at just now?
I wish I knew. Like, I suppose I again, it's not for the lack of trying. I'm sure that's what the board are trying to implement, or that's the kind of way they're trying to push it, but just for whatever reasons, decisions haven't happened that would allow that. And obviously you can point towards like higher contributions from like the supporters that pay into like their trust and things like that and whatever, but it's still like much of a muchness in terms of budgets, I'd imagine, although as you said, like the budget has been slashed significantly this season, as everyone already kind of knows. I think obviously the question is kind of more in terms of like the model in which they operate, and obviously selling Lennon Miller for £4.5 million helps a hell of a lot, but that's the thing, it's kind of money that will set Motherwell up for a long time. But yeah, that is what they've got to aspire to, and yeah, absolutely fantastic about St Mirren.
Tremendous yesterday. What would you rather see as they go down the St Mirren route with somebody like Stephen Robinson, or go that wee bit more exotic the way Motherwell have?
Well, that's the frustrating thing, is that, and if you asked me in the summer, I would 100% like to go down the unknown route, but I believe because the appointment was evidently wrong, hence we're here in December already looking for a new manager, I think that you just need somebody that comes in to bring you results. That's no me to say that in 6 months down the line or a year down the line we'll not be in the same position, but that's what happens when you get it wrong. So if there is somebody out there that is happy to take the caretaker role, so to speak, and I don't mean Chris Doolan with that, you know, I mean somebody that's maybe happy with a gig to the end of the season with hundreds of experience, that would be ideal, and then we can go and build for there. Again, in an ideal world, I would love us to go and appoint a kind of European manager, or somebody that's a lot further afield than the west of Scotland, but I think that now that's maybe not the right time, because if you're talking, again, you need somebody to just come right in the building and give the lift and get results in the park.
Yeah, this isn't me speaking from any sort of like insider knowledge or anything. That was just me speaking in terms of like how I would maybe see it. Obviously there are financial difficulties right now at the club, so I'm very much with you, and obviously we've kind of spoken over the last wee while. A caretaker till the end of the season might actually suit, in terms of the club can obviously hopefully stay up, but obviously, you know, worst comes to worst, they need to see what league they're in and then decide what route they're going to go down with a kind of more longer term appointment. I think there's maybe some kind of method to that. So
the name obviously that you said the day was Peter Levin, who's been at Aberdeen, played with Kelly, obviously was a good player. He doesn't seem to be either of the things to me, massively exciting or progressive or a dead safe pair of hands. So without pouring cold water on it when he's maybe not even beat his foreman yet, but Peter Levin's that's the name you heard?
Yeah.
Hold on, Levin or Levin? What we're doing here?
Levin.
I would say.
I had it right. Aye. He's certainly in contention. He's very much in the thinking. Like, I don't know if there's ever such a thing as a top target, especially when still so fresh and whatever else. And they're going to need to see who throws their applications in as well. I think it's really important to do that in case they get surprised, but they also need to be proactive in the sense of they should have had lists of names of people that they could potentially go to and sound out, and I'm absolutely certain that they have, because I'm led to believe that was the case when Derek left. Obviously, see, that went well. Sorry, we'll leave that out.
So we'll wait and see. Obviously, there's a few different questions about that. Martin got in touch for the Kelly View. The Kelly View are going live as well, I'm led to believe, at 8:30. So you can just jump straight across to their YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you can catch the lads and all talking mere Kelly stuff, which is always very welcome. The sacking of Kettle surely has to be a big lift for Saturday. 3 PM kick-off, last game before Christmas. Let's get the atmosphere back to where it belongs. And also, what's the favourite Christmas gift you've ever received?
Best Christmas gift I ever got when I was maybe about 6 or something, I got like a Robin Hood type, like Sherwood Forest, like with all the I was going to say tree swings, kind of was like hidden all the trees and all that. It was just like kind of a object like that, so to speak. Right. And it was brilliant, but all the different characters, and I believe that and all the wee dens and all that in it.
That's so good, actually.
I believe that all my brothers and sisters spent more time playing with that than me. So
right, good gift.
How good it was with me being a lot younger. So that's my favourite Christmas present.
Excellent. Pates, you got a favourite?
You can tell I've thought about that.
I've got two. Guitar Hero.
Oh, good.
And then the other one's a wee bit bigger than that, Toyota Yaris.
Well, that's
there
good,
you go. Aye. How
Christmas
did they get that under the tree?
I know. That was my first car.
It's my boy's driving test on Wednesday.
So it is.
Good luck to the
Very
team,
much
man.
so.
No pressure now, mate.
Pressure, aye.
That's announced it to everybody.
And just because, just to put Pacey said there, obviously, if he passes his test, he'll get a Robin Hood playset.
Exactly. What about you? Favourite gift?
So I've had so many over there. Been so blessed. My favourite gift probably ever was my Hasbro WWF wrestling ring. Don't think I've still got it. Oh,
Where did you stand on like the WCW ones that they brought out? And
the
there was
springy
like,
one and all that. I had it,
and there was
but
like water and all that, like swimming pool type thing.
Nah. So
Insanity.
that would be the one. So that would have been Christmas 91 or 92. Marie will be able to tell me, and I've still got it up the loft.
Oh.
Love it. Right, Christy Sykes, according to ChatGPT, the replacements are for Kelly are David Martindale. Yes or no?
It's not happening.
No.
It's 2 in the bricks, well, have you?
Stephen A. Smith
Again, can't see him coming.
Nah, can't see it.
and Jason Naismith, no, and Robbie Nielsen.
Well, he's as assistant manager to Lee Johnson in Belgium, if I'm right in saying that. Or vice versa. No, he's assistant.
No, he's definitely assistant coach. He was in for it in the summer. Definitely spoke to the club. I know that.
Alright, okay, interesting. Right, David Hanna gets in touch. We all predicted from the start that Kettlewell would be a disaster, but the board ignored the evidence. Finally they've acted, but you have to wonder how much faith we have in them getting it right. This team, they need proper football consultancy. That comes back and back again and again. The real Bidey got in touch. Interesting to reference this. I genuinely meant every word. This was after the 2 wins against United at St Mirren. Boydie tweeted, genuinely it's now become a tremendous start to the season. Those 2 wins are huge. A lot to love about Kelly just now. What a start, and I really like the manager. Life comes at you quick, man.
Aye, well, I kind of poured some cold water on the alleged unbelievable start that we had. But equally, when folk were going nuts after we chucked a 2-goal lead in that at Levy, I was just managing and tempering expectations at that point. But I never foreseen 10 games without a win.
Nah.
Or if I looked at previous records, then maybe that was obvious to me. I don't know.
Not good enough. Right, okay, Captain Conker, the gorgeous squirrel, got in touch and says, will Vecna be stopped in Stranger Things Volume 2?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've not watched Stranger Things.
Me and Taylor watched 1 episode on Saturday, weirdly enough.
Did you enjoy it?
Stu, is it good?
Amazing.
There we go. Right, will Vecna be stopped?
Yes.
There you go. Right, and as a bounty in a tub of celebrations, treated harshly.
I think it is. I think
I like
it's
the
good.
bounty.
Yeah, very much so.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye, alright, okay, I can agree with that. And then last one, Saturday, the last one before Christmas, let's get a win and send the fans home happy.
100%.
Wouldn't that be lovely? Gunnar Vance, the most gorgeous man in Europe, if not the world. Well, I'm glad that's over. I'd love us to go on a different route for a new manager. However, I fear we can't be messing around this time. Surely we find someone to get a tune out of these players for more than half an hour each time. The players also need a rocket up their arse. Aye, that's a good point, mate. Alexander Marchi says, Kettlewell sacked, who's next? Can we ditch the 3-5-2 and go 4-4-2?
Well, I think that, as we spoke about, I think that Dools will be potentially playing a 4-2-3-1 or 4-5-1, so we'll wait and see.
Thoughts? I think we'll get a 4-3-3, 4-4-2 type thing.
Hopefully. I think 4 at the back though. Yeah.
That's going to be the way forward, isn't it? Friend at Pod, Mr. Taylor gets in touch and says, now that the Rebels have won, is this a time for a new hope? Said it before and I'll say it again. We Davy at Levy or Billy Davis?
Well, Billy Davis is rocking it at Morton at the moment.
I see he's making me so popular there and all.
Did they lose to Airdrie?
Was it?
Was it?
And what did they?
I just seen a couple. I've not watched anything, but I've seen a few comments on the old social media. So
is he still talking about himself in the third person?
Listen,
like in Alan's Star Wars references.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I think he done a good gif with the Star Wars getting the credits. A New Hope. Mikey Kenmure, hello Mikey boy. Yes, the hell is over. Brilliant news. I shouldn't be this happy about someone losing their job, but hey ho, there you go, Mikey, telling it like it always does. Straight down the line. Lindsay Mack, better make it a 2-hour special, lads. Today is a talking point. Big shout out to our mate Doolan, buzzing for him, top man. Pleased he's involved with the club even after the interim duty's done. This Saturday suddenly has an appeal about it again. The wee Kelly buzz is back. So probably more importantly in terms of Dools, he's getting that interim job. He's also going to be taking the role forward that Chris Butt was doing, and I think he's a perfect fit for that. Like, I honestly do. I know that he's worked with young players. Doolan was a coach before he was pro, so when he was part-time with Talbot and all that, he was like coach. I used to meet him on a Tuesday and a Thursday night in at the Toon Home Centre that's now a gym. It was the college, and he was working with Wayne's then, bringing them through and playing fit. But that's, I think, where his real talent will lie. So he's going to be a great guy to have run about the club, I think, in general.
Brilliant, good to hear that.
Really good, man. Right, next one up we have You got something you want to say? Now's your chance to say it, mate.
I'm just saying there's been a good wee bit of engagement in the Facebook, so just want to thank everybody for checking in live and all the rest of it. So Barry Davis was saying, arrange cover at my work on Saturday to leave early and start back later to go to the game. Was seriously considering just not bothering turning up. Mind made up now, definitely going on Saturday. So again, that just shows you the differences. Tommy Stewart asks thoughts on Damon Duff for the job.
Yeah, quite ambitious that, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw someone
had
had kind of floated his name on the forum like a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was. I can't say I've followed his career that closely. He was at Celtic, wasn't he? And then he left. He managed himself. Did he win the league there?
I think so. Definitely in Europe anyway. I know.
Yeah, I mean, someone that you'd like to think that you could maybe go and ask. Again, I think that's one way it really would like appeal, because it's like it's not just the same kind of Scottish manager. Not like, listen, that might be exactly what Kelly needs, but at the same time, I think we've got to look at that kind of prospect.
Keith Standron also gets in touch. What's been the highlight of 2025 feels like it's been a soggy year, and I think he's absolutely right. So for Kelly, what really is there to look at?
It was quite grim, I know, in the last few months,
especially when it started, when it kicked off with Parkhead away in the Scottish Cup, and you're just like, because we're like, our season's by now in like the middle of January. So that's a good question.
Year, isn't it?
Aye, good point.
I'm
really trying to think about a standard result. Maybe.
By the way, that's a brilliant question. How many games have we won this year?
That's one we'll need to come back to at some point, man. Our good friend Stevie Murray, of course, that's been on the podcast a few times. Evening, guys, onwards and upwards. Players and managers come and go. Time to get Kelly back up the table, Monty Kelly. In addition to that, he says, my view in modern football management is put all the styles they play aside, get back to basics, win your individual battles, and bring a level of consistency. Wins will come. Common sense.
See, when I was talking about Doolan earlier, I think that's exactly what I mean in terms of this week. See if it is literally just this game, or it's like the next couple of games, just that'll do.
Aye.
And I think, hopefully that'll yield better results.
And finally, David Keenan gets in touch. Does anyone know if we have officially replaced Ross Richardson in charge of recruitment? I know the club was working with Sam Morrow over the summer, but the impression I got was in Richardson's absence. January's got to be a vital window, 100% agreed. But it was my understanding that Sam Morrow was on board, and Ewan can confirm that.
That's correct.
Aye, so
absolutely.
There you go, David.
Sam Morrow that played with Hibs.
Aye.
What was it?
Hibs in Ross County.
Aye.
There's a link into Tony Mowbray, maybe.
Tony Mowbray's a name. What do you think of Mowbray?
Oh, unbelievable.
Aye.
Be good. I think there's a good few managers like that in England that maybe worth a wee I'll see if they're mad enough to come up and take the job. But all they need to do is look at put Steve Clark in with Kilmarnock, and even to a lesser extent Derek McInnes. Going to a huge club.
Perfect. Just leave that there, man. Right, Vicky Black. Hi, Vicky. Happy to see the board take action. Hope they don't panic with his replacement. We need to get it right. Shout out to my daughter's team, Cowan and Rangers under 14s, who won their league without losing a game.
Unreal.
Merry Christmas to you both. That's tremendous. Well done. Thanks for that, Vicky. Wee bit of positivity. Paul McGrath. I'm not defending SK or anything, but what chance have you have when there's so many wrong VAR decisions against us? I mean, the VAR thing, like, we've not got the time to really fully get into it. Is anybody that's into football in support of this VAR?
Don't think so. I think that's the thing. Like, I think you saw the good and the bad of it yesterday. Like, the first one to me is not a penalty, and I thought that at the time. And then obviously VAR intervenes, and I think, right, good, like, come to the right decision. And our heart of hearts, obviously you want Kelly to get a penalty, but it's the correct call. But then the second one was just like, what's he meant to do? The close proximity. And then we go back to that Celtic decision where Ian Atchell scores a penalty in the last minute. We were told that they weren't going to be penalties because of the close proximity and the way the ball bounces. And then Brad makes the point that he's jumping mid-air at that point. So yeah, it definitely hits his arm, but is it unnatural? And then why is he not sent over to go and check that? Well,
for me, the most interesting thing about the penalty that was eventually given yesterday was, because I get VAR's getting a hammering for it, but it was the ref that obviously called it in game. Ken, he made the decision immediately. And again, similar to, the counter arguing my point with the penalty that we gave away against Celtic. See, had the ref gave that in real time, I would get it, because you just see it hit the arm, but the fact that VAR's went back and given it was more frustrating. But I think maybe for that point of view, I agree though, because the close proximity, man, it's like a yard or two if anything. But I think because maybe the ref's giving it in real time, is there enough to go and overturn it? I don't know. Or should I don't know.
Aye, I'm the same. I just don't know.
And to be fair, Kettlewell did say that after the post match. He's like, nobody knows what constitutes a handball and what doesn't, and I certainly agree with that.
Rab G, who doesn't actually listen to the podcast, but put a wee message in saying Stuart Kettlewell's abysmal stint as Killie manager shouldn't overshadow the phenomenal life and work of Rob Reiner. The Princess Bride is an all-time favourite of mine. Classic tale of true romance and high adventure. I saw Rob Reiner left us. One of the all-time greatest movie directors ever. Of course, Spinal Tap is his crowning achievement. When Harry Met Sally, Misery.
Aye, of course, aye.
So
I watched Misery a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Legend, a few good men. Just in here tonight.
No, that's a shame.
Claire Sampson says, if you were in the boardroom for the interviews, what's the one question you would ask the potential new manager?
What a question that is.
It's a cracker, isn't it?
That's a good one. Well, I want to know if they get it, man.
I would say, before we go any further with regard to your style of team, the type of players you want, how do you feel about fan podcasts and you're interested in having them in at the press conferences?
That's a good one, to be fair.
Absolutely.
I'd throw it out there.
No chance of that. But no, I would, again, I'm going down the chest beating route here, and I'm like, how much do you get at the club, man? I want to know if they know their history and all that, which you should be doing if you're applying for a job. That's the first thing you do, is research the company.
There you go.
I want them to come in to say how big a club Kilmarnock is and all the rest of it.
Aye. Play the galleries.
And if it's Mark McGee saying that, then just give him the job.
Aye, right. McGee, here's another one. Mowbray, McGee, Steve Bruce.
Aye, well, Bruce is definitely
Bruce is definitely the thing. What would you ask you if you were?
I'm trying to think of something really serious, honestly. Like I'm kind of caught in my toes.
Caught in your heels. You've got to think fast in this industry.
Can I ask them what their best Christmas present ever was?
Aye,
exactly.
Thank you, Robin Hood.
Absolutely.
Favourite Rob Reiner film?
Aye.
Something like that. Right, Alan Bowie gets in touch. I'm not going to get through all these, everybody, because there's literally
far
like
too much,
100 of them. Understandably, because it's been a big news day. Kettlewell's departure today brings into light and context the comment McInnes made to me at the AGM last year, which was, and I quote, "It's going to be tough for whoever is in charge here next season."
Mm-hmm.
And it's panned out that way, so obviously there's financial stuff going on, man. Galak gets in touch, friend at pod. Oh, goody gumdrops, Didywell is gone. Do we want Doolan to be good but not great in the interim? Good enough that we pick up but not great when he's in contention for the job. So I would rather he was great, because I think Doolan's too sensible to take on a job like this anyway. I think he'll be delighted with the post that he's got. So I'm hoping he goes and wins 3 games. We get a new manager. Doolan can go and get on with the job that he applied for and got.
Well, I hope that's the case. But one thing that we will say is some folk have maybe been critical of Billy Bowie at times, but it was my understanding that he was able to basically convince Lee McCulloch to take the job, and Lee McCulloch never wanted the job, remember? Because remember, McCulloch would never, and well, Alec Dyer would not commit himself to take the job. But for me, I want obviously Doolan to come in and do well, but I really think that it's important not to get carried away either way, and we've got to go and appoint an experienced manager, regardless how well that Chris Doolan does, because as you've said, I think that he's an excellent appointment for that youth development role. And even as me and you spoke about in the way up here in the motor, if worst comes to the worst and we find ourselves in this situation 6-12 months in the line, at least there's somebody at the club that can step into that and again oversee again, but again with that caveat that he will not take the job, because, and even from his point of view, that could be a job for life, his youth development one, and he stays round the corner for the ground, and I think that's something that's welcome.
Interesting, man. Right, questions coming in for Jamie about the new manager, Kyle Anderson and all. Richard McCutcheon asked a similar question about Doolan there. Mark Robertson, this is one for you and Paton. Why do you think the board are so reluctant to engage with the fans, even via the club's own media channels? Would it make a difference for them to at least try? So you're obviously in the media. What's your take on that? Is their engagement with the support kind of the same as most folk across Scotland, or do you think we're missing a trick?
I think you can look at it 2 ways. Where I think, was it yourself who made the point where you look at other clubs and there's maybe some figureheads, you're like, maybe give it a buy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there's maybe a balance we've struck between being there all the time and then radio silence. I think there probably is. Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously have kind of lines of communication with some of the hierarchy, but even as a fan myself, I'd love to see Billy Bauer, Phyllis Carroll speaking to the club TV. But that's the thing. This is where they'll argue, is like, what do you want us to say?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that is frustrating from a fan's perspective when things haven't been going so well, but I don't really know what they can say about the manager in that sort of situation where everyone's firefighting. And I suppose the season in general, as we're seeing in front of our very eyes, is firefighting. Like the aim needs to be, and it is to finish 10th, and that's it. That's all that matters. But yeah, I would obviously like to see them be a wee bit more public and have a bit more of a figurehead. It probably is lacking in that sense, and even just from my own point of view, from the job that I do, it would be better to have someone that you're able to always kind of rely upon for that information.
I think it's a wee bit a gap in the market there. Robert, got in touch, Robert Foster. Final food bank collection of the year on Saturday, 1:30 East Stand. Huge thanks to Monty and Cal and everybody who's donated food or thrown a few quid in the bucket this season. With that support, we've raised nearly $2,000 to give to the Kelly community for Christmas food hampers for local families. Absolutely sensational work going on there. If you can afford it, if you're able, final one of the year. Obviously, it's a time that some folks struggle with, and there's plenty of families out there that would be in desperate need of that wee bit of generosity and kindness. So I thank you, Robert, for putting that message in. It's obviously extremely important and something that we care passionately about as well, Cal.
Yeah, well, a good time to bring up as well that we'll be handing over our kind of half season amount, so it'll be to the tune of about 200 quid. We'll begin the food bank on Saturday. Generous donations from both the Wilsons as well as Sandy, Kelly Matchworn shirts that have donated really generously to that as well, and I think ours is about 100 quid give or take for what we've raised. All roads lead to Kelly, so and we'll get that hand over on Saturday afternoon. Brilliant, man. Tommy Calderwood got in touch and said, wonder if we could entice Valakari to go away for St Johnstone. We're going to talk loads and loads more about this in the Patreon. We'll go through all the kind of candidates and the names, but that's quite an interesting one that keeps coming back up and all. Angus was asking if we're wanting a foreign manager or somebody that's maybe a wee bit more a journeyman. He's more inclined to go foreign. Captain Colombo, do you think this is confirmation that the break clause is real, given it's the third manager to fall in December? Well, this is where I've came to, and I think that there is no coincidence, but all says that I presume that Tommy Wright must have renegotiated his bullshit contract at that point then, because he was appointed in February, remember? So it wasn't exactly that 6 month period, you know what I mean? But I presume there would have been terms. Here's what will happen if we stay up, here's what will happen if we get relegated, and I presume that's the case. But I don't remember at the time any news of he's signed a new contract or there's this or that, but the problem was terms. Aye, I think there must be something in that. It's a wee bit too coincidental. Aye, it's not, well, like I say, you might. It's Billy Bowie the Grinch, man. If you're a Kelly manager and you start opening your advent calendar, you must be going, hold on a minute here, man, I better win this next game. I'm kind of out the door. Scott Allison says, no question from me, but things are so bad. My 10-year-old phoned me this morning at 8:30 to ask if Kettlewell had been sacked yet. So that was the temperature this morning. Obviously, he did get sacked, mate, later on that day. John Boyd got in touch to say, does a recruitment process for hiring managers need to be reviewed? We've had a few questions about that because it's not been the best of success rates in terms of over the past 5 or 6 appointments. But again, I think that just comes back to the stuff we're talking about in terms of having that football person on the board. Maybe that is something that needs to be looked at. What do you think?
Again, this maybe also ties into the sort of theory of having someone to the end of the season. If you can get someone to get us through by hook or crook to finish, so that we've still got our top flight status, then that does allow more time to try and appoint someone in an advisory role or in that director of football role. If that's genuinely what is going to happen, honestly no idea, then it gives them time to do that, and then also maybe then appoint someone as a head coach as opposed to the manager. Well, I absolutely think that long term we need to just restructure the board with regards to, we need like football operations back there, be that director of football or James Fowler's role that was wrapped up when McInnes came in, and I think that all that aside, that we should just be using a consultant, then no better than Steve Clark. And before folks say, we recommended Dyer for the job, but I think it's a different thing altogether. He did recommend Dyer for the job. It's his mate, but he's good pal. And having said that, he recommended Dyer when he left.
which is only the natural thing to do anyway,
and then
particularly when he's staying on the coaching staff. And although we're not going the Alessio thing, but I believe that if Alex Dyer was a manager at that point, we would have got past Connors Key.
There we go. Gillian got in touch. I've not heard from Gillian for a while. How's it going? I really hope that today's departure of Kettlewell stops the negative patter. I don't ever think anyone wants the abuse either. It says more about the person giving the abuse. Basically, all I want for Christmas is to pick up points and inject a bit of positivity. Well, I think we're going to have a positive day on Saturday, Gillian, and hopefully everybody agrees with that. It's time to kind of get back to enjoying the games again, because it's been a bit of a slog, no doubt about it. Questions for Callum McGee, talking that he would go for Robbie Nielsen maybe. I know that was a name that was interviewed in the summer.
Yeah,
very good one. Percentage is not about nearly 50%. I know he's managed a lot in the Scottish Championship, but he still managed for a good period in League 1 and League 2 in England as well.
The only thing is, there's no chance he's coming in just to the end of the season.
Nah,
if you're going to go for someone like that,
nah.
It's all just a theory, I suppose. But yeah.
It would be a good one. Sam will go in touch. Now that we've got our wish, let's get a rallying call. Get bums back on the seats again. We need everybody pushing in the same direction. I would totally agree, mate. I definitely have been a bit of that tonight. So if you can get along on Saturday, it's going to be it's going to be revitalised, I believe. I do think it will be. Greg Halbert, I know, says happy birthday, Cal. Welcome to the 30s Club.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
The man, the myth, the legend. The short-leased salmon chucker, whose birthday it is today as well. People will say nobody goes out there to try and lose. However, it could have been malicious compliance with the manager's tactics. They didn't like him to try and get him the boot. Well, we see the players putting a great performance, unburdened by the kit. That's no the vibe that you were picking up, was it?
No, that's the thing. Like, I know second half wasn't brilliant, but first half was as good as they've played pretty much all season. Maybe Dundee United away was obviously better actually, but I generally don't think there was evidence of the players not playing for him, and I do stand by that. I'm not saying that in moments it's, you could maybe say that like Falkirk away down 3-0 before half time, it's an obvious one, but then less than 2 weeks ago they went and fought and got a well-earned point at Tynecastle. If they weren't playing for him, that just wouldn't happen. So, nah, I'm not sure I buy that.
It's one thing I absolutely agree with. I think that through everything, both with Kettlewell and the players, there's definitely been no lack of effort put into this, but it's just no worked. It's
just no worked. And the simple question that we have, Kyle Mull says, what song will the Goth be listening to in his bedroom tonight? What do you think?
One, man.
It's tough, isn't it?
Well, maybe in Monty's bar in Dunfermline would be able to give a line of their jukebox, man. There's a few gothy tunes on in there. System of a Down, walking straight into here. System of a Down was something I definitely wasn't expecting.
No, I think he's going to do a wee bit of My Chemical Romance or something like that. I'm not okay.
Radiohead Letdown.
It's a good shout.
I put a picture up. There was a picture of him at training. We had a whistle in his mouth. And I said, he's vaping, right? You messaged me. And I was like, Ken, do you need to be vaping? Like, he's a goth. Somebody replied to it, dead annoyed at me.
Oh, man.
They'll kick a man when he's down, it's clearly a whistle. People just don't know on my level, comedy-wise, clearly, man.
Nah, it's just social media is just that cesspit, as we're addressing Facebook here, so thanks very much for that.
Cheers, Zuckerberg.
But even with like that, the tweet that you put out about St Mirren winning the cup, saying brilliant and that, and then said, always good to see a wee team beat one of the Old Firm, and of course that leaves the door open to the crackpot Celtic does. The Old Firm died in 2012. You're like, don't
just lost in a cup final, and that's the first thing that's coming to their head.
Anyway, that was sensational. Right, okay, there's a few more questions. We've not managed to get through it tonight because we're kind of running behind time. We're going to jump out to the Patreon and do a bit of a deep dive onto the managerial stuff. Anything else we want to flag up that's come in live, Cal?
Again, just a wee shout out, Stevie McDougall, obviously a good friend of the pod, gets in touch. Been at site today and was late to the announcement. Been a crap day, but now it's get better. It wasn't working and he was going and he wasn't going to turn this around. I think we now have a fighting chance of staying up, which I never thought under Ket. And then Rebecca Munn, exactly the same. Look forward to Saturday now, was considering patching it, and the players will have a point to prove that Kettlewell was the problem and not them. So again, a wee bit to the contrary of what Ewan was saying there, but I agree with the overall sentiment that there's a freshness about Saturday, and it's time to move on. And you never know, maybe by the end of this week we'll have made an idea of who's in the frame for it, or whether they're got to take their time. Who knows? That'll be something that Ewan will no doubt be updating the rest of the fans about come the next few weeks. So what's the plan for the Chronicle then over the next week, mate? Are you going to be in and amongst the club? Are you just going back on holiday or something like that, putting your feet up? So Ewan was obviously after the day, by the way. He's going to Carlisle on Friday, and that's it, man. Get your Kelly content. It was something I can.
Always seems to happen when I've got something planned or a day off, doesn't it? But shout out to Gaby for sorting things today. Obviously in close communication with them, and if anyone's not read his kind of opinion piece on Kettlewell just been the wrong appointment from the get-go, I would urge you to go and do so, because it's very, very, I think it just strikes all the right notes. And we'll obviously have our ear to the ground and just try to do some digging about any other names potentially in and around the kind of, frame of who might actually be getting this job. We'll obviously try our best to get the news ASAP, and we'll keep you posted, I suppose.
Fingers crossed. So there we go. This has been a momentous day, chaps. Kettlewell no longer. He was one of the people lucky enough to be the figurehead and manager of this beautiful, wonderful old football club that we love so much, and for that I doff my cap to him. But I never felt like the right person. And now we move on, and the key thing now is make sure we do get the right person. So, but as I always say, man, and it can be maybe slightly twee or even cheesy, the most important thing, it's never the manager, it's never the players, it's the supporters, man. That's what I will always die in that hill, and I said that a couple of weeks ago. I would never tell MD how to do their job, but I know what it's like to be a fan, and I'm not even one of the better fans. All the main fans are up there at Paton yesterday, man. You know what I mean? And
still taking about 200 off as well, which I'm surprised
sensational, man. And all the mums and dads buying the strip for Christmas, and all the folk that were at the calendar signing and all that. We just need to get everybody back together into the ground on Saturday, get behind the new management team, get behind the players, and hopefully we've got a day on the horizon, the one that St Mirren had yesterday.
Well, I thought that sounds absolutely brilliant, man.
Aye. So why not us?
Aye, let's look forward to that.
We can have both.
Still in the Scottish Cup.
Well, there you go. That's all I've heard of that now, man. January. Right, we'll wrap it up there. Sincere thanks everybody for tuning in, for sharing and liking and all that stuff. We really, really appreciate it, and all the comments and stuff. It's been a bit of a manic day for everybody involved with Kelly, but here we are. Remember, the Kelly View boys are going to be live very, very soon and all, so give them a look. Ewan, thanks very much for coming down, man.
Thanks very much for having me, boys. Pleasure.
You going to stay a bit for the Patreon as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. KC, good to see you, bro.
Thank you.
I hardly seen you this weekend.
I know. It's been a while, man. After a few week hiatus, but now back joint at the hip.
That's it.
That's what seems funny. You were going to a Scotland game once, and you were there with me, and then somebody bumped into you, and you're like, "Oh, is Cal no here?" You're like, "Nah, we live separate lives." Well, we did at that point, but now very much intertwined. Right, Stu, thanks so much, man, for your tech support tonight. Been different class. Cheers everybody for watching, and get along on Saturday. Monty Kelly. On we go.